off real quick. First of all, let me begin by thanking each of you for being here today. Welcome to the Michigan State Police State Emergency Operations Center and the Michigan Intelligence Operations Center. Let me begin by telling you that the men and women, the members of our agency, they do a great job of running both of these facilities here at headquarters. This is in place to keep Michiganders across the state of Michigan safe. Whether there is a threat of terrorism, there is some type of criminal activity or natural disaster, that's what these facilities are for. They're in place again, they're positioned, they're prepared to make sure that we are safe across the state of Michigan. And we cannot do that without the partnerships that we have with our local departments, our local partners across the state, our nonprofits in this state, our lawmakers, of course, our governor. Everybody pitches in when things get tough here and we're dealing with different threats, rough times, challenging times, whether it's a natural disaster or anything else that's taking place. I mean, we used this facility during the election last year. And because of that, we had a lot of success. Things were done safely in the state of Michigan. And again, I can't express enough how important it is to have competent, confident personnel here and partners here in the state of Michigan to do what we need to do in accomplishing the mission of keeping everybody safe. I'm gonna be real brief this morning. I know that I normally start off with who I am, so I am Colonel James F. Grady II. I'm the Director of the Michigan State Police. I'm gonna actually turn over the mic to the Division Commander for the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division, that is Captain Kevin Sweeney. And then following him will be the captain over our Intelligence Operations Division, and that is Captain Elizabeth Rich. Both of them do a phenomenal job of taking care of the day-to-day operations here in both of these facilities when things happen. We always want to look a little bit advanced and prepare accordingly as well, and both do a great job with that, whether it's dealing with our more recent ice storms that we had here in the spring, or when you are dealing with a secondary list that is provided after additional search warrant due to the absolutely terrible event that took place with our Minnesota politicians here in the last several weeks. We are doing everything we can to try to get the information out, work with our partners and making sure we keep everyone safe. So with that, I'm going to turn over the mic to Captain Kevin Sweeney, and he's going to give you some background on our wonderful State Emergency Operations Center, where I too have had some opportunity in my experience of working here, working in this division, and again, excellent personnel here that do a great job day in and day out. So Captain, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Is anybody first time here with us today? You guys been here before? Most of you are first time. All right, so just a couple of quick things, and then I'll dive into a little bit more detail with it. What's really unique or neat about Michigan, the way we're set up with emergency management, homeland security, and our law enforcement here at the state level, is that we have those three components inside the Michigan State Police. So when you were walking down the hallway, you walked right underneath the Michigan Intelligence Operations Center. And that's the primary point where information is gathered and turned into intelligence. And that's what Captain Rich does. Here inside this room is the State Emergency Operations Center. The job here is for us to coordinate the state's response when we have a large-scale disaster or emergency. And again, we'll touch on that in just a second. But the third piece of it is the operations, the state police operations. And so I believe you're going to see that as well. And that's where 24/7, 365 days out of the year, we have somebody manning that, a lieutenant, a sergeant, manning that, and we can have that real time, that contact with law enforcement officers out on the road, as well as then coordinating whatever else needs to be done above and beyond. Inside this center itself, switching gears to that, this was built completed in 2016, cost about $17 million. It can withstand, we're told, an ES5 tornado, about 250 mile/hour winds. We don't want to test that out, of course, but that's what we're told. Here in this front row, you see the seats for leadership. So you'll have the SCOC director. In my primary role as the commander of the Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division is to run this operations center when it becomes operational. On average, over the last decade, give or take-ish, we've averaged activating this building, the SCOC, 3 times a year. If you went back many, many years ago, it was about once every 3 years. So it's kind of flipped. We're definitely busier. In the center area here, this is where where our general staff works. So we have that finance, logistics, operations, planning, and recovery. And so that's the team that really helps us run everything. And then behind it, in those seats back there, there's a designation for each one of our state departments. And there's about 20-ish state departments. Red Cross has a seat as well. National Weather Service has a seat. Those are the ones that can make quick decisions when we need to, when the disaster's happening. And if you look at that northern Michigan ice storm, we activated for about 2.5 weeks for that. And we had entities from multiple state departments all working together to provide the response and the needs, meet the needs of what our local partners had out in the field. Some of the unique things that came out of that, fuel became an issue, generators became an issue, oxygen tanks became an issue. Those were things that our logistics sections had to procure and then find a way to get out into the field so that they could, it could get out there very efficiently and effectively. And of course, we had all sorts of personnel from the National Guard and volunteer groups working as well. So I could stand here and talk all day about the State Emergency Operations Center, but just as a high-level overview, this I think really captures it. So I'll pause there because I know I don't have a lot of time and just turn it over then to Captain Rich. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Captain Liz Rich with the Intelligence Operations Division. The Intelligence Operations Division essentially has 3 disciplines in it that make up intelligence for the state police. So that is our cyber section, which is computer crimes and cyber network intrusion, as well as our intelligence section. So that's all of the intelligence analysts for Michigan State Police. And then what you saw next door is the operations center. And I believe there's one media crew that hasn't been in there yet. We'll take you there after as soon as we're done here. So the Intelligence Operations Division essentially makes up the fusion center for the state of Michigan. Fusion centers were brought around after 9/11 when we found out that even the smallest amount of intelligence could stop a big disaster or an attack here in the United States. So our mission is to ensure that all intelligence comes to one central location, and then we disseminate actionable intelligence back to our law enforcement partners and our private sector partners. So in the room next door that you saw is our operations lieutenants, where our partners reach out to us for different resources, whether it's K9, our emergency support team, or any additional support that Michigan State Police gives. Our OK to Say sits over there, and OK to Say is our school safety tip program that is a benchmark to many other state agencies to replicate, because our OK to Say is an absolutely phenomenal and successful program here in the state of Michigan. We also have our Watch Desk, which is an extension of our Intelligence Operations Center. That makes us a 24-hour fusion center for the state of Michigan. That's all I have, sir.
Any questions for anybody?
Colonel, let me get this going. Obviously, there are desks here for FEMA and for a federal liaison, but there have been some changes at the federal level. Have you had to adapt to those changes, and what kind of adaptations, if so, have you had to do?
So to be honest with you, those desks, those spots are there even when I was here assigned EMHSD. FEMA actually has personnel that work with us every day. What I will share with you is, right now we're still continuing to work with FEMA. Okay, until those things change at the federal level, we will continue that partnership. But that's where we are. Captain, would you have anything else?
Sure.
You want to
And
add?
if you could step over to the
Sure,
microphone,
sorry.
thank you.
Here in Michigan, FEMA has what's called a FEMA integration team. So we have 4 members that are assigned here in our division at this point in time. Each have a different role, but they work full-time here with us in Michigan. So whenever we activate this SEOC, whether it's a state level activation or something because it's bigger than that, we're going to be requesting something from the president, FEMA will come in and sit right next door to us, or sit right by us here, just down the way. They do an excellent job. Unfortunately, there are some changes, and we're not sure long-term what that's going to mean for those 4 individuals. One of them actually is just now leaving here at the beginning of August, so we'll be down to 3. There are 6 FEMA region, there are 6 states in FEMA Region 5, and I believe 4 of those states all have FIT members currently. So it's been a great resource to have, and we hope it continues. Thank you.
And any changes with National Weather Service?
The individuals that sit back, National Weather Service, so they have a seat in the back here as well. Those same 2 people are with us all the time. They do a great job. I can email them, call them. Now what's happening beyond those 2 people, I can't speak to, but I can tell you that our contact, the work we're doing with them has not changed.
So has the cuts at the federal level had any impact on or concerns from Michigan State Police about response time that you guys could have to emergencies at this point going forward?
Take it?
I would say right now, no. We're still doing the work every day here in the state of Michigan. We still have our federal contacts. When something arises at that level, we reach out to them. Even in our IOD in that division, dealing with MIOC, our fusion centers, we're still having a day-to-day conversations, right, on making sure that we keep the state of Michigan safe. So right now, we're normal business. We are having the conversations, collaborating where we need to keep the state of Michigan safe.
Given the vote of no confidence that you had recently, after that, did you ever consider resigning, or was there any talk of that from yourself?
I was appointed as the director of the state police back in 2023. I'm remaining in this position, and I will do my best every day in making sure that we keep the state of Michigan safe.
Thank you.
Anyone else on intelligence operations or the emergency operations center?
Captain Rich, we talked about with Captain Sweeney how often this center gets activated for more weather and natural disasters. What about intel disasters? Have we activated in the past, let's say, decade or so that this has been around?
Recently, we actually had the election, and we were activated for the election. Emergency management, Homeland Security, and IOD work hand in hand together on different events, and the election was one of those. We had this entire room staffed for almost 3 days straight, and it was very exciting to see that all of our partners came together to ensure that the elections were safe and that people that were going out to vote were safe as well. And we were able to mitigate any concerns throughout those 3 days here in this center and give updates to all of our elected officials, as well as anybody that was concerned to go out and vote. So it was a very successful event. That was the last one that we've been activated together in this center.
Was there any kind of mini activation, if you will, at the fusion centers with what the Colonel was mentioning, the secondary list after what happened in Minnesota?
Yes, we were actually working very diligently during that weekend to ensure that all of our elected officials were informed of what that list consisted of, who was on that list, and how to protect themselves and their families. Obviously, the suspect in that case showed up looking like a police officer, which is a big concern for us in law enforcement, as we want to protect all of our citizens of the state of Michigan. So we had plans in place for them on how to protect themselves, as well as notifying our 911 dispatch centers of flag this address because it belongs to an elected official. We want to ensure that our law enforcement knows. We've had many instances of swatting throughout the years, and that's just another aspect of how to protect people from incidents like that, from individuals that want to cause chaos. But we did keep them informed. Colonel Grady held several conferences with our elected officials to ensure that they felt safe here in the state of Michigan following that terrible incident.
And forgive me because I don't have my dates back to back here. Was this around when the kidnapping attempt happened with Governor Whitmer?
No.
Was the center around? I forget my dates at this point. Did this exist?
What event?
Are you talking about the more recent event
Yes.
that happened in Minnesota? So no, that.
No, I'm talking about the attempted kidnapping for Governor Whitmer.
That's several years old.
But was this facility around during that time? Do we know?
Yeah,
It was
this-
around, it was not active.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't
I'm sorry,
activate for that.
Just seeing at the same time, kind of a fishing expedition here. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was activated during COVID.
Yes, that I remember. Captain Sweeney, you said the most recent activation was the northern storm?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. What about some of the tornadoes that we've seen recently? Were we activated, or what kind of gets us to that activation mode versus letting all the local authorities kind of just deal with it?
Sure, no, that's a great question. Of course, we activate when the governor tells us to activate. Some of the triggers that we have that might cause me to approach the colonel and approach the governor to say, hey, I think we should activate. One is when we're getting requests from our local partners. So the local emergency managers are telling us that they need resources. We need those generators, they need those oxygen tanks, those types of things. The other big trigger for us is when there's multiple state agencies involved. So we have hazmat spills, we have, issues with transportation, a train might jump the tracks, MDOT takes care of that, and Eagle gets out there and does their thing. It's when we have multiple state agencies coming together and we need that coordination. So in the case with the election security, there were multiple state and federal partners. We all had to get on the same page and then work with our local partners as well. So that was one of the big reasons why the SCOC activated for that.
Obviously, we just had the recent events down in Texas with the flooding down there. Not asking you to critique their response, but I'm just wondering, was there anything that you have seen out of what happened there that can serve as lessons to help you do a better job here?
Well, it's early on, of course, in the response there with what they're doing. So no, I wouldn't say to date at this moment in time that there's anything that I'm seeing that's either extreme positive or extreme negative. They seem like they're doing a very good job with the response. They use EMAC is used, that's the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. That's a tool that states can use to bring in resources from other states. So in this case, Florida and now Texas and New Mexico have been putting out these EMAC requests. We've seen numerous ones come through. We've been able to fill one of them. So they're requesting, in this particular case, they requested 3 volunteer liaisons to come down and assist and help coordinate. So we were able to send one of our staff members down, and she is in Texas right now assisting with that. And they'll put out requests for swift water rescue, for GIS support, just a multitude of things. In Michigan, we've only, really for the first time during that northern Michigan ice storm, we actually used EMAC to bring somebody in. We've sent a lot of resources out to assist over the years, but this year was the first time when we brought in a Department of Transportation crews from Indiana. So that was new for us. We did have a NEMAC, a northern Michigan activation, but that was a few years ago for some fires. But EMAC, first one.
And
Well-
we are, like when we send personnel from our agency, we get the funding back.
What were your lessons learned from the ice storm?
Oh, quite a bit. I mean, one of the ones for us, so overall it was a great response. Our local partners did amazing. There were 12 counties that initially were affected. We had the tribal partners up there as well. One of the lessons we learned was to get our dashboard up a little bit sooner. So in that case, we had an interactive dashboard with the public where they could go to that dashboard, click on it, and they could see where the gas stations were open. They could see where there was a shelter at. It took us a couple days to get that up, and I wish we had gotten that up a little bit earlier. Facebook, a lot of our local emergency managers use Facebook as a tool up there to communicate with their public. We don't have Facebook in our division, the department does, but to get that information out there quickly, we really need to have it with the SCOC or EMHSD. So we're working to put that into place so we have that more direct communication coming out of our facility. Some of the positives with it, we had daily touch point calls with our local emergency managers. Every first one was at 7:30 a.m. We had one in the afternoon, I think at 4 p.m. So every day we were touching base with those that were affected, finding out exactly what their needs were. And then just the amazing partnership from the local level up, but here at the state level, having the National Guard activated and getting them out there and assisting really, really worked well.
Let's do one more question and then you guys can get some
Could you
video
give-
if you'd like.
Sorry, could you give maybe a couple examples, whether it be the ice storm or otherwise, about how this center, kind of like boots on the ground examples of how it kept Michiganders safe?
Well, I mean, the cap already touched on a lot of it, right? It's the resources that they need. You know, in this more recent one, you would never think you would need oxygen tanks, but you might have an aging population in that part of the area, so they need those type of resources. That's why we stand up the SEOC for those reasons. The locals may not have that readily available. So we provide those resources throughout the state, wherever we've been impacted, so that we can make sure that we get our citizens back on their feet.
All right, thanks you guys. We'll get ILX into the other area that they missed, and if you guys want to take a couple pictures in here.